list. What made him different?
Well, that he was a phenomenal fighter pilot. Oh, yeah. Didn't argue about it. The guy was coming down with kills all the time. Nobody else could match it. Nobody. And there were some great fighter pilots in Malta. Well, Beurling had great eyesight. You know, the little specks. Okay, that my whole life at that time was little specks. Every time you went up and you were called, you looked towards Sicily for the little specks.
I scrambled to take on 2 Junker 88s, escorted by about 20 ME-109s. 2 MEs got the drop on me. I did a quick wing over and got onto one's tail. He saw me coming and tried to climb away. I figured he must have been about 800 yards away from me when I got him into my sights.
At this distance, Beurling is engaged in a war of invisible numbers. His Spitfire is traveling at 250 miles per hour, while the ME-109 is climbing at a rate of over 50 feet per second. The equation grows even more complicated when he factors in the velocity of his weapons. In essence, Beurling must not shoot directly at his enemy, rather at a point in space where his enemy and his fire will precisely meet.
I gave him a 3-second burst, smack onto his starboard flank, and got him in the tank. It was a full deflection shot.
He was a pilot who was better than anybody else. He would have been difficult to handle in the squadron because he's so bloody bright and knows what he's got to be doing. And he's better at it than anybody else on the squadron. And he knows it, and they know it, which is not an endearing trait. To be better than everybody else. He didn't have the freedom he needed. He was frustrated. That's the problem. And that made him a troubled guy and a trouble to anybody who had to handle him, I'm sure. But he could have been handled if somebody took the mind to say, look, we've got ourselves an ace here.
By August, Beurling was already a legend in Malta. He had 15 kills. He had at least half a dozen probables and damaged. He was the #1 fighter pilot on Malta. But every pilot knew at some point his number could come up. On August 8th, 1942, Beurling's number came up.
A bunch of yellow-nosed ME-109s were waiting for us, and every mother's son of them stayed to fight. I quickly turned to get under one of them and gave him a 2.5-second burst. I hadn't any more than begun to dive when I got mine.
We're trying to find Buzz Beurling's crash site of August 8th, 1942. The passage of time makes examining any battlefield difficult. Of course, specifically, exactly where it took place in the field, well, that's another story. Then you need an eyewitness. This is the village of Guja, and it's near Lucca Airport, and we think we found somebody who witnessed the Beurling crash. This is quite amazing, considering how few people would have seen it in the first place. So I'm going to talk to him. Hello, Joseph. Hi.
How are you?
I came to find out about the Buzz Beurling crash site. You're the eyewitness we're looking for. So, Giuseppe, what did you see when the Spitfire came down? So he's maneuverable and he's coming into the ground, close to the ground. Where did the plane crash?
Between village and Tarishan.
We're just on the outskirts of Guja, and we're going to try to find out where Beurling came down. in his famous and very lucky crash on August 8, 1942. They were chasing after a gaggle of Germans over in this area. They were going after Grand Harbor. And just somewhere to the east over there in the sky, a dogfight developed. Now, Beurling had already had 15 kills. He went in, and with some very fine deflection shooting, he had his 16th. The Me-109 went down. The problem was somebody got him, and he got hit in the engine, and his engine cut out and died, and he's stuck in the middle of a dogfight with no engine.
The old Merlin wouldn't give me any more than 160 miles an hour and was heating up fast. The spit was sinking slowly. It had begun to look like a bailing job.
By the time he gets his harness all set, he's down to 200 feet. He's got to be going about 100 miles an hour. He came down gradually by that church over there.
Right ahead I could see a nice plowed field, about an acre in size, surrounded by low stone walls.
Now the danger here is all these stone walls. If a Spitfire hits one at 100 miles an hour, you're a dead man.
I slithered along, cutting the glide fine, but not too fine. It's damned easy to flip these spits and spin in. Gotta try to keep that nose high.
Beurling's Spitfire came across this field, makes a belly landing, and just as it's about to hit the wall, he tips the wing down, and it stops cold. Climbs out of the cockpit, inspects the plane. He had nothing but a cut. He'd escaped his first dangerous clash with death. He lived to fight another day.